So a lot of you have been asking what it's like as a commercial diver, and I'm going to show you what it's really like as a commercial diver here up in Seattle, and specifically what it's like being an inland commercial diver. There's a big misconception that all we do is go down, dive hundreds of feet deep, and underwater weld, and we're just badass people like that. Well, we do more than welding underwater. It's actually a very small percentage of what we do, especially for inland diving. We one day could be diving in a water tank, in a potable water tank. We could be diving in sewage. We could be diving under commercial fishing boats. And we could be also recovering items like phones, wallets, things like that. There's many tasks that that commercial divers have, and we're gonna show you just a couple of them today. So stick around. Hope you guys enjoy, and so you guys can see what it's really like as a commercial diver. The first job that we're going to is a commercial fishing boat, and they need to get it inspected because they're purchasing this boat. It's new to them, but the boat, I believe, was actually built in the 70s. But pretty much what we want to do is just take a look at the prop, take a look at the hull, take a look at the zincs, just make sure that everything's in good shape for them. It might have some other work that they need us to do, but first we just got to get it inspected and see how it looks. All right, so just real quick here, we got the OTS full face mask, and these are communications. There's an earpiece and microphone there, and we have the main air. We have pony bottle right here for backup, and the way that we control that is a valve here on the hip. So if the main air runs out, then all we have to do is just reach on our hip, open up that valve, and then he's got backup air. And this right here is communications, and we'll get plugged in there, and there's his pressure and depth gauge. Knife for emergencies. Nice little frosty this morning.
So just a reference point, I guess you got the big sonar tube there, and then this, see the red hose?
Yeah.
And then you got that fitting going forward. So this right here is the 90.
Oh, it's
Top
right there.
of the 90. This is the cap that I'm a little worried about.
See.
And so this whole, there's some kind of plug or something there fitting, and then another fitting, another for the cap.
Okay.
But this, you know, it's not very deep. That's like the hole right there. So it's just the through hole with the 90, and that's it.
Okay. So this right here is the OTS Spectrum. We're just getting the dive light rigged up and just making sure it's all ready to dive. We have communications here. So these are the earpieces, and then this plugs in to the comm cable. And there's a little microphone. There's a little microphone inside there so we can talk back and forth. And we have our radio set up right here. So secret defog. Rub this inside of the mask. You just need a small drop. Just a tiny drop, just like that. Say again?
Are you running an 80 or are you running bins?
Right now he's doing his video inspection, starting at the bow, and then he's gonna work his way aft back towards the propeller.
I see definitely a little bit of rust on there. Got that greenish color.
Okay, copy that.
Gonna get a little slack.
Looks like you have slack up here. 1 second. Let me take up your slack first.
Oh, I got it. I'm good.
Okay, copy.
There's some bluegill under here.
You sure about the spear gun?
Okay, just reached the shoe. Kind of by the stern where the propeller is.
Copy.
I'm looking at the anode on the shoe. Still intact. Got some rust on it. Got your typical wear that you've seen on when we watched that last video together.
Okay, copy that.
Do you want me to breach the water or stay down?
You can stay down. If you need to come up, you can.
Yeah, Roger.
Okay, go ahead and clip that on for me.
Yep.
Then when you're done, just open your ABV, get some air in your BCD, and then just hang out on the surface.
Yeah, Roger. Your clip.
I didn't see anything. Took a video of it though. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah, I'll text it to you. We'll probably, I'm gonna try and cut some of this video up and post that on there. The second job that we're going to is also, it's pretty close by, and that job, we're going to be removing a rope out of a propeller, also known as a line in the wheel. This fishing boat is getting ready for the season, and they need to get this rope out of their prop before the season begins, because without it, it's causing it can cause quite a bit of resistance. It can cause quite a bit of resistance. The propeller's not going to run as efficient, and it's also going to wear out a bearing, a sort of a seal between the shaft and where it penetrates the hull. So we have to dive down, get that removed, and then we have another inspection to do after that, right next to that. So this is a day in the life of what it's really like. There's some slack in for you. Perfect. It has a little weight to it, so you might have to inflate this a little bit.
Yeah, Roger.
So right now he's just working on getting that line out of the propeller. So, and if we need it, we got a bigger hammer. Yeah, it will. Right now he's just cutting off the kind of the top layer. Okay. But yeah, once he starts using that chisel, I'm sure he's gonna want this. So he's got that other one down there right now.
Okay, we have a plastic one, but those are not really.
Yeah,
if you put them in water, it's gonna be half the weight. So.
Yeah. Yeah. How's it going?
Oh, it's going. Trying to work that outer layer out. I see what you mean now.
Yeah. Yeah, easier to get that loose stuff out of the way, and then once it's solid, then just kind of chop through it. Are you using that net bag to put everything in, or what?
I'm still using the net bag.
Okay, roger that. So you're getting to the part where it's like all the ropes are just kind of stuck together and bound together.
Yeah, like in the center.
Yeah, that is kind of the more time-consuming part. Yeah, definitely. Once you can get one of them on one layer, then you can take those side cutters and start chopping into it. And also, when you get a chance, what's your air at?
That's 1200.
Okay, copy.
Oh my god, this is so much better. Should have used this from the beginning. What the heck?
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
This is what 90% of diving is hurry up and wait. Just waiting on the divers down there to do their job, and just wondering if they're actually working or not. But it sounds like he's making progress. He's working through the line right now. There's gonna be an outer layer that's a little loose. So once he gets that outer layer off, then he can take a chisel and like chop through the thick line. So that's what he's working on right now. I can hear some banging around. I think he's starting to chop through right now. So should be done here pretty shortly.
2 hours later.
All right, we are all done. I did have to hop in there and help out. So there's a very specific way to get these ropes out of there, and if you are unfamiliar with that, then you're gonna have a very difficult time, just to be quite frank. And so that's kind of what was going on in this situation. Now, what typically happens with these boats when they're out fishing, and in these guys, their case, they're out fishing out of Westport, and they're fishing for Dungeness crab. it's pretty common for the gear to get sucked up into the propeller. It can get pushed into the propeller from the currents, and the propeller, when they're driving and picking up their pots and pulling them onto the boat, sometimes if there's too much slack in the rope, it can also get sucked up into the propeller since they're driving while they're running gear. But in any case, what typically happens is the rope will get sucked up. They'll continue running their propeller, and keep in mind, guys, they're offshore, like they're out in the ocean. They can't just pull into a dock and have a diver come over and just cut the little bit of line out of there for them. They have to keep running. So, and especially if you only have one engine, you can't rely on another engine to get you home or get you back to the dock. You can't just sort of hobble into a dock on one engine. So especially if you only have one engine, you have no choice but to keep going. So that's typically what happens. So when they do that, they have to keep running the propeller, so it just sucks up all of the rope. They can't just stop, and they don't have a way of cutting it, so they have to suck up all that rope. And then what happens is they're offshore, they're down in Westport. They have to make it all the way back up to Seattle, where they keep their boats during the off season. And so what happens is that rope, all the rotations that it does, and the rope will bind and get wedged in between the stern tube and between the propeller. There's a very narrow gap where you can see the shaft, and the rope will bind and wedge itself around the shaft. And then typically what happens is the shaft continues to rotate while they're underway, and then that rope will get so hot that it'll actually turn black and turn into like a plastic, like a rubbery plastic. So that's typically what happens in most cases. Now, in this case, it actually wasn't that bad. I think that's because it actually got wrapped around the shaft tight, and then it just spun with the shaft. So there was some melted fragments of the rope, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. But the thing that makes this one a little bit more challenging is when you're dealing with these ropes, you want to get the outer layer off first. And then after you get the outer layer clear, and then you're down to like the rope that's bound in between the propeller and the stern tube. Once you get to that point, then you can take a chisel and a hammer and you can just chop right through it, and then you can peel back all the rope. And sometimes you can kind of just chop it in half and then just pull two halves out. In this case, everything there was enough friction to where it heated up and all the rope fibers stuck together. So all the different layers of rope stuck together, but we had to pretty much get a pry bar in there and then pull each strand out one by one. So you can imagine how tedious of a task that was. So I wish I had like the full video for you guys, but maybe on the next dive. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave those below. You know, a lot of you were asking what it's like working as a diver. I'm just showing you just a very small part of what it was like. So, all right, well, you guys have a good one. Thanks. Dive safe.
Inside of the thing,